Hey everybody, it's Dina Rico from the Creativity Cave, and I am super excited to share with you this really cool card featuring a really fun technique that involves using your acrylic blocks to apply color and then a little water magic. So I don't know if I'd call this a watercolor technique per se, but it kind of is. But I really love the effect. Now, all of this sort of happened a little bit as an accident, which is kind of some of the best techniques come as accidents. And also, I have gotten quite a bit of ink on myself, but I have no regrets because I think this is a cool technique. So here we go. Let me show you how I did this. I'm going to start with some of our pearlized paper. This is kind of a coated paper. You can see it's pearlized. It's pretty thin. It's not too heavy duty, but it's really nice. It comes in 12 by 12 sheets. I have a 6 by 6 here because I was die cutting. And it really actually reacts quite interestingly with water and ink. So I was playing around with that actually for a class I did recently, and I really like the effects. So let me show you how to do this. I'm going to put my grid paper down here. I'm going to add this tag. I die cut the tag from our Tailored Tags dies using that pearlized paper. And I'm going to take and apply some ink with blocks. So these are just regular, good old acrylic blocks. There's something about transferring the ink from the block versus like stamping it down versus just rubbing the ink on the paper. You get a lighter application of the ink. And you can do a couple different things. So I kind of like that you get the shape of the block on here. I'm actually going to stamp that one more time because I wanted it over the edge. And then what happens when you add the water to it, you get a little bit of a reaction happening. So what's kind of fun about this is you just get different looks using these blocks, and you can see you don't get all of the ink on there. And I think that's the key, is you get a really light application of ink because you're putting it on with a plain old acrylic block. Okay, so the colors I've used on this are Magenta Madness, Mango Melody, Daffodil Delight, and Granny Apple Green. And then I'm going to take and spritz this. This is just my water Stampin' Spritzer. I'm going to block this off just so I don't get water. And then you can see the colors kind of react and they really intensify. But then they're going to kind of get subtle again, because what I'm going to do is dry this off with my heat tool. And then you can see the colors kind of disperse a little bit. They might mix and blend. And then you get lots of cool droplet textures on here, which is really interesting and fun. Now, if you don't like the pattern and want to kind of mix it up, maybe you want to add more color, or maybe like here I've got a couple areas where there is no color. I can come back with my blocks and just tap a little bit more color on here, like so, and then spritz once again. And then that kind of mixes everything back up. And you can see this has actually gotten a bit brighter, but when you heat it, it gets subtle again. So I don't know what it is about this paper and reacting with the water, but it's cool. So I really enjoyed this technique. Okay. And so now now the cool part about this too is every time you do it, you'll get a different look. I also thought, well, gee, I have all of this ink on these blocks still. What else could I do? So I had a scrap of paper just left over from my cardstock. And so I thought, well, let's just stamp the kind of the rest of the ink that's on these blocks on here. And then I'll spritz it once again, just because I like the look. Okay, and adding more water will give you kind of a different look too, just FYI, if you want the colors to blend and not, and to kind of mix around a little bit, add a little more water. It's not watercolor paper, but it does seem to deal with the water pretty well. definitely much better than regular cardstock would. I think that's the key, is this is a coated paper, and it seems to absorb water, at least somewhat. Either that, or I don't know what's happening, but it works. So I got kind of a droplet here I gotta let dry down. But I really like the effects. So isn't that kind of cool? All right, now let's take this business and put it together in our card. I'm going to do one more thing before, and I want to stamp my sentiment. I'm using the one of my favorite sentiment sets, which is Biggest Wish, and I'm just going to take and stamp my sentiment in some StazOn. Now I chose StazOn black because, like I said, this is coated paper. I wanted to make sure it would dry eventually. So I will stamp that on carefully. And because it's coated paper, you can move your stamp on here, like it can slide. So just be careful. All right. And then what I also found was kind of interesting is, I don't know if I like this look. I like it a little bit more blended out. This is kind of splotchy, and I want it to be a little more blendy. So I've stamped this in StazOn. It's dry, so I'm going to spritz this a little bit more, kind of let those colors bleed just a touch. You can even help the process with your fingers if you need to. But I'm going to heat this back up again, and I will have a little bit more subtle background now. So I don't know what it is that I've stumbled on here, but I just love the look. This one is going to be just a little bit more intense than my original, but that's okay. Like I said, everyone is going to look a little different. Oh, it's still a little wet up here. Let me dry that off. Okay, so it's just a really fun technique. So let's put this together in a card. I will take and start, some water on the back. I will start with a half sheet of thick vanilla cardstock. The pearlized paper definitely has a ivory tone to it, so it looks much better on vanilla than it would on white, so that's why I chose that. Even though I'm adding color to this, I still felt like the vanilla was the right color to go with. I took a 2 by 5.5 inch strip of vanilla cardstock as well, and I embossed this with my embossing folder. And I actually kind of like the debossed side of this. I did the embossed on this one, so you can compare and contrast and let me know what you think, which version you like best. But we'll just put this down onto our card. Now, I'm not putting my adhesive all the way, because what I'm going to do is tuck that strip we kind of played with there on here. I'm going to tuck that in underneath at the very bottom. So I'm just going to run a line of adhesive on here. This one is a little bit longer than I need, so we'll trim off the excess. But I thought that was kind of cool to take that little leftover piece. I was going to put it on the inside of the card, but I tucked it on the front, and I really liked the look of that. So that's how I chose to do it like that. I also don't have my card folded quite right. Hopefully that'll do it. Okay, so let's trim the excess of this off. And then, so there's my card front. Then we're going to add our tag. Now I want to pop this up onto my card, so I'm going to add some dimensionals to this. And because I heat set this so many times, it kind of is curling just a little bit. So we're going to load her up with some dimensionals here. I had somebody recently ask me why I don't put dimensionals in the center of my projects, and I don't really have an answer to that. I just haven't. But here, we got them on this one. So whoever asked me that, I don't know if I've replied to that in my YouTube comments. I will, but I just thought I would throw that out here. Okay, so look at that. Those are a bunch of random dimensionals. They're on there. Okay, so we'll pull all the backs off of those, and we're going to just put this onto our card, kind of overlapping that embossed panel just a bit. Okay. And look at that. Oh, so pretty. Then I'm going to take and add a bow. I've got some black gingham ribbon, which is one of my faves. And I'll just tie a little bow on here. Then I'm going to glue dot it right onto my card. I find it's easier to tie a bow kind of free-handed, you know, holding it up in the air than it is to tie a bow onto that tag through the hole and everything. This just seems to work a little better. I'm going to make this a little smaller. It's a little big. Okay. Then, like I said, we'll glue dot that. And place that on here like so. Very fun. And last but not least, I'm going to add a couple of black matte dots. These are fun embellishments that we've got that I think add a nice touch. So let me just grab a couple of those with my Take Your Pick tool, which just happens to be one of my favorite tools. This little tacky end really helps pick up these little embellishments. So I'll put one dot off of my tag and a smaller dot on my tag like so. And there you have a really pretty card. Now for the inside of this, I'm going to take and stamp my sentiment, which I'm going to pull out of here, which is going to be happy birthday. This was kind of a last minute decision. So if this doesn't turn out, well, sorry. But I want to stamp happy birthday, and I'm going to ink up the word, or I'm sorry, I want the birthday is this and the happy is the solid. Sorry, I grabbed the wrong thing. Okay, so I want to add this on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp HAPP with my Daffodil Delight. Then I'm going to do about part of the P and the HA in Mango Melody. So now I've got two colors on here. I'm going to wipe off the H and a little bit of the P and the Y. And I'll finish out my colors. So my first color is going to be the H in my mango, or I'm sorry, my magenta. I'm just trying to kind of get all the colors on here. I think I need a little more. I got a little aggressive wiping off colors here. And then I'll wipe off the Y and put a little green. And then I think I've got all the colors. We'll see. I'm going to stamp that down on there like that. Now, I could 100% do this with like markers, but where's the fun in that? This was easier. Okay, so I've got friend on the front, and then I'm going to do happy, and then we'll add birthday in our Stays on Black on the inside. And how fun is this? Now, there's one other touch I'm going to add to this. Oh, that looks cute. And that is, I've got the word hello. This is from the stamp set Inspired Thoughts, and it's a little teeny hello. And I'm going to stamp it right here on my tag like so. And isn't that awesome? So there is a really fun card with a really fun technique. I hope you loved this. Holler if you have any questions in the comments of the video. Of course, all the supplies that I'm using are available to purchase in my online store, and I'd be so grateful for your business. I've linked them in the description of this video. Of course, you can also find them on my blog, along with a project sheet you can download for this project. So thank you guys so much for stamping with me. Have a great day. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.